Thank you very much. We are back in the studio on
Yes, we are.
Friday. It's so good to be back here in Can TV studio.
Can TV.
I don't know if they haven't been in this studio. I mean, this is public access TV, and I'm very happy that they are still in operations.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm happy that we can have F.D.R. Community Housing Foundation right here on the show.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a hotline, 312-738-1060. I think
Yes.
we're going to have a guest, maybe. But
We waiting on you, Braxton.
so Braxton is going to come on, and he's a young guy that beat Sickle Cell.
That is
And
amazing.
that's amazing because this show is all about youth on Fridays.
Youth
That's what
Fridays.
we're dedicated to, and he's one of them. But there's been a lot going on since we've been in the studio. Though we've still been bringing it to people. But recently, what's been going on in your world?
In my world,
That
trying to
much?
trying to make some changes and bring some positivity, and that's an everyday effort, pouring in energy. And I know you have been changing some legislation.
We have been working on education and crime bills and everything, but we welcome you to call in, 312-738-1060. This is holiday season. Some will be celebrating Easter,
Mm-hmm.
the resurrection, and
Yes.
some will also, I think today starts Passover, is that right?
Yes.
And so give us a call and say hello to us and tell us what's happening in your community. Tell us what's happening in your community. I live in Austin. You live.
Evanston.
Tell us where you live and tell us how we can work together to build up stronger communities right here on F.D.R. Community Housing Foundation. Want me to give a rundown on what happened in Springfield before we left?
Because I think it's pretty. You've been working. man.
Yeah. All of us, all the people that's been a part of budget making and the staff, you name it, lobbyists, they've been working and they helped pass a budget that will help Illinois. This budget that we pass actually helps uplift communities. The show is about communities. It uplifts communities. And during a what's happening right now, inflation, this budget that we pass will help individuals somewhat with the inflation that's happening. And so I'll give you some pointers on what the budget entailed. But before I tell you that, I want you to know that there wasn't one Republican that believed that they should help people with this budget.
What's wrong with you all? What is wrong with you all?
Not one Republican voted for what I'm about to run down that's going to help communities thrive and recover from what we call, I would say, the pandemic that impacted families and businesses. This took all Democrats, so I don't want to keep you guys waiting. But to combat inflation, the budget includes more than $1.8 billion in aid for people and families across Illinois. Not just Democrats, but Republicans too, independents as well. And
The bills that you all pass, the legislation that you all pass, not only helps Democrats and independents, but it helps Republicans
it helps
too.
Republicans. They're going to benefit from it. So here's some rundown. There was and will be a suspension of the grocery tax for 1 year. So when you go
We need that.
into the grocery store, there will be, when you see state tax, it's going to be zero.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
Every little, that's huge.
That's to a total of estimated about $400 million. This is what Democrats did. So the question is, as we talk about this budget that Democrats have crafted, passed without Republicans, you got to ask yourself, who has the best interests of people?
The Democrats.
Well, you sold on that automatically?
I'm sold on
yeah, I mean,
that.
you read the budget, yeah. So
Democrats get in the trenches and will fight with you, for you, and Republicans,
They
they're not
benefit.
they benefit from you getting in the trench.
So are you a Democrat or Republican? 312-738-1060, or just tell us something. Now,
I love that because, I shop at Whole Foods, so that's going to
that's not Whole Food, that's Whole Check.
Yes. Yes.
And
Yes.
so there is the gas tax reduction. So for 6 months, people will see a reduction in the gas price, and that's going to be to the tune of $70 million. So a reduction in the gas price. So it's not going to take it down to $2. I mean, when I first started driving, I think I was paying like 60 cents a gallon. And, that was good. And you know what? When I started driving, I paid 60 cents a gallon, and I made people that rode with me give me some money.
Right.
Give me $5.
What y'all putting on this gas?
What y'all putting on this gas? Not just going to be picking you up for school and going to play basketball, and you eat all your money up, and I pay for the gas and the maintenance of my car. But
I feel for kids now that drive and their friends want to ride. Like, you got to come up with $20, $30.
man,
Shoot, you want to ride now? No more $5.
no more $5 on it. We also we're going to be doubling the property tax rebate to save households $300 per household. There is a increase. We're increasing and expanding the earned income tax credit to cover more people, including immigrants. There is assistance for the working class parents as they manage the pressures of inflation. The budget by Democrats, we are giving eligible tax filers an additional one-time direct check. It's not a lot, but it's $50 per adult filer and $100 for each of their children. This is money back into taxpayers' wallets and banks. So, I mean, do you say I don't want it, or do you say I'll take it?
You say, I take it. You say, thank you, and thank you for being human.
Yeah, it's going to be put back in the revenue stream, because most of the times people that get these tax breaks and direct checks, they spend it on the needs of their families. That's
Right.
why it's going out.
Right.
And so it's going to come right back to the state. And so we even thought about teachers. So we're going to double the teacher tax credit for purchasing classroom material and create a back-to-school tax holiday for all consumers. So back-to-school tax holiday is going to be in effect. That's good for me, because my daughter's getting ready to go to Howard, and I'm going to need a tax break, a tax holiday to get her. You think that's going to cover her, all her stuff? Or,
No.
Yeah, we got it.
No.
Yes.
That'd be great if one day you can get first 4 years of college free for everybody.
Yeah.
That would be awesome.
I'm getting ready to get to that, and the order. So we also have a $122 million increase in the MAP grant. So that's going to help low-income families go to school for free. So more than 50% higher than the MAP grant 4 years ago. So if you want to go to a public university in Illinois, you can almost go for free. You can almost go for free.
What's almost?
Public universities are expensive, but when you have the MAP grant, you have the FAFSA, and then you have other possible grants and scholarships, then that should cover you to go to some of these public universities. Our flagship university, Urbana, is out there. I would tell you, if you could get in Urbana, that university, especially if you can't afford to go, they have resources for you to send your children there. And they have something called the AIM High. That's a big one. It'll cover your tuition, room and board, and they have the President's Scholarship. They got so much that if you want to go to college and you can't afford it, you could go. It's just
awesome.
People like you with all this money that, you can't afford to go to college because you got so much money. It's that middle class that struggles.
That middle class doesn't exist anymore. You either got it,
I-
a lot of it, or
Yeah.
you either have a lot of it or you just over here.
So, yeah, it's them and it's all of us. And so we continue. There's going to be $350 million increase for funding to give children high quality schools. And that means that Chicago public schools will receive more money because of evidence-based need. And that's pretty fat. That's good. It's not enough because the tax system, when we look at the tax system, the reliance on property taxes and schools, there's going to always be a disconnect in equity because some communities, they have high property taxes and they can pay more per pupil. That's where Illinois and Chicago hurts because you're going to always have this disparity in funding of education.
Interesting.
Yeah, there's $150 million that will go toward new and affordable housing units.
Now, I love hearing that, most definitely.
So that's excellent.
And what's affordable housing?
You know,
to most, like what does that look like?
that's a good question. And affordable housing, you got to be able to pay the rent. You got to be able to buy it comfortably, and it should
Pay your
be
rent.
Yeah, and it will be lower than market rent because market rent, if you ask me, is unaffordable in a lot of communities. And so you get these subsidies that make the rent affordable because these landlords, they get this tax break so they can have more affordable rent in their units. There's going to also be $130 million is going to go toward legal assistance for those under the threat of eviction as a result of COVID-19. So we already know that there's going to be a lot of evictions. So the state has already, Democrats have already said, we're going to put $130 million toward legal assistance for those that's threatening eviction because of COVID.
Yeah, that was a lot of people.
Yeah.
That could not pay not because they didn't want to pay their rent, but their jobs were closed during the pandemic. I mean, where were they going to get money from? And it wasn't like you could just go out and get a new job in a pandemic.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So all of that builds up communities. And now we're going to get to some other stuff that the Republicans voted against. Now, they voted against that. Guess what else they voted against?
Why would they vote against that?
You know, you
Why?
asking me how I know. How I supposed to know what they think? This is going to blow your mind. We talking about building up communities and public safety, and they are so strong on law and order. Right? We know they're all for law and order. And the Republicans voted against putting $500 million toward public safety. $500 million the Democrats put in towards public safety, and they voted against it. They also voted against $124 million for local police.
Public safety that impacts them. You all don't want to live in a safe community, Republicans? You got a Republican on your block that calls into the show sometimes. What are her thoughts on?
You know what? I think it's called the rope-a-dope. They benefit from. It's a rope-a-dope. You remember Muhammad Ali?
Yep, the rope-a-dope.
The rope-a-dope. So they talk, they complain, and yet they benefit from it. So whether they vote for it or not, they're going to benefit from it. So they voted against body cams for the police. They voted against the ability to provide mental and behavioral health for police. They voted against $48 million to prevent carjacking. They just voted against all of that. They voted against $3.5 billion for child care.
Child care. How can you vote against child care? Like, it just doesn't make any sense to me.
I don't know. There's just so much to talk about, but our guest is here, and we're going to shift to talk about our guest. Meleika, he's a dynamic young man.
Yes, he
And
is.
we're going to, you know what I think we should do?
What should we do?
I want him to say hello.
Hi,
Say hello.
Braxton.
Hello, how are you?
Good, Braxton. You know,
Happy Friday.
happy Friday. It's a good Friday.
Happy Good Friday.
So why are you here today?
I'm here to talk about sickle cell.
Okay,
That's what I'm here for.
Yeah. You're here to talk
Yes.
about, and what do you know about sickle cell? How old are you?
Oh, I'm 29. I know a lot about it because I used to have it.
You used to have it. What do you mean you used to have it? I mean, you mean there's a cure for sickle cell?
There is now.
Oh,
Yes,
okay.
it's in the works. It's not FDA approved yet, but it's in the works.
Well,
And
tell us about your story. Tell us about your story.
I will tell you. So, sickle cell, I don't know if you guys know about it. So, normal red blood cells are normally round and shapely, but sickle cells, they are crescent like a banana. They are still and rigid. They courses through the veins, and as they course through the veins, they clog like a traffic jam, and then it causes pain. It causes so much trauma to the body. You can't even like bear the pain at all. So sickle cell patients go to the hospital.
So
And
why don't we? You look. Can you shape your video? Move your screen down so we can see your.
Oh. Let me see.
Yeah. There we go. Is that? Let's see. A little more. A little more. There we go.
Can't
Perfect.
hear.
Go. All right.
Okay.
There you go. Stay there and talk.
Okay, so well, as I was saying, so when you go through so much pain and unbearable pain, you go to the hospital, and they give you like pain meds like morphine, but sometimes that doesn't work at all. It does not give you any comfort, barely, and also sickle cells deprive organs of oxygen, and that's very fatal. It's very fatal. So,
Yeah. So Bryce,
Yeah,
this
it's
one I'm reading something here. You are our expert. You are a young expert, and you know. And it talks about how sickle cell anemia is one of a group's inherited disorder known. So you inherited this. Is this a disease, a blood disease? What is this?
yeah, it's a blood disease basically. Like I said, it comes with the cells, and it's like I said, normal blood cells are normally round, but sickle cells are like a banana.
Yeah.
They're shaped like that, and they don't carry as much oxygen, and
Yeah.
because of that, it doesn't give that much oxygen to the body or within the organs. So that causes a lot of it brings deadly. It's a deadly disease because of that.
Yeah, it's sort of. I
like-
read something, and it says that it slows and blocks the blood flow. Is that what you're saying?
That is correct.
Yeah.
That is correct. I've lost my brother to this disease. He was 27 years old when he passed away. Yeah.
So I'm sorry to hear that, Meleika. He lost his brother to the sickle cell. They say that we're going to talk about some symptoms of it and how you know anyone with sickle cell.
Yeah, I'm sure he knows T-Boz from TLC. Tian Watkins, she has sickle cell, and there would be times when she couldn't travel on the road because the pain would be just too excruciating. But she's in her 50s now. She's led a full life, had a daughter, and so I mean, you look amazing, Braxton.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Yes,
what I'm reading here, they said treatments can relieve the pain and prevent complications associated to the disease. What are the complications and the symptoms that a person that's suffering from a disease like this It's pain. I hear you say pain, but tell
Yeah.
us about the symptoms.
Okay, so pain is a big factor of it, but also it's like it causes what is it called? Uh, it causes
But
I'm
I know
sorry,
that there's some blood clots and swelling of the
blood
hands and
clots. Yeah,
feet. Yeah.
that's correct. Yeah, that's the hand syndrome when you're a baby.
Yeah.
That's a hand, yeah, the hand and the foot syndrome. My brother used to get that, and when he used to get it, he used to cover himself a lot. He was like a baby, but he wouldn't want anybody touch his hand or his feet because of it at all.
Mm.
I went through the same thing with the hand and foot syndrome as well. Acute chest too is one thing too that it's very deadly as well. I had a friend to pass away from acute chest, and I used to get them as well, and I got avascular necrosis as well. It breaks down the bones. It breaks down the bones, and people have had hip surgeries, mel replacements in the shoulders, all different types of stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I was reading up before we were to meet with you today, Braxton, and they were saying that overexertion of exercise. So it's like they want you to get exercise, but you can't do too much.
No, you can't. If you do too much, I've experienced this myself. You do too much exercise, you can, excuse me, you can go through a pain crisis by that, by overexerting yourself.
How do you relieve yourself of pain? Do you take Tylenol? That might sound a little immature or naive to say, but I know you have to go into the hospital, right? This is not
You
just
take
regular pain like a Tylenol pain, right?
no, you take morphine at at the house. They give you Vicodin, they give you oxycontin with
Oh,
codeine. You take hot showers to relieve the pain. They try to tell you to go to your happy place while you're in pain, and if all that doesn't work at your own home, then you have to go to the hospital, and they give you an IV, and they give you fluids, and they give you morphine, and higher, like harder medicine than that to help you relieve the pain. And sometimes it really doesn't really help, and when you're in pain too, you don't know when it's going to stop at all. You have no idea when it's going to stop at all, the pain crisis. You just have to go through the pain until it just stops, until like your body relieves yourself of it. And
What?
sometimes it takes weeks. It takes weeks.
wow.
Yeah.
Mm.
I've been in hospitals like for like 2 weeks just in pain throughout the whole entire ordeal.
You said you go to your happy place. What's your happy place to escape the pain?
My mom used to take me traveling a lot, so I imagine myself at Disneyland. You
Mm.
know, that's what I used to do. Or my mom took me to Hawaii once, so I imagine myself in Hawaii
That's
at the beach.
beautiful.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
so even with taking those controlled substances, that doesn't relieve you of the pain?
Not it
Not all the time.
depends. Not all the time. I mean, for the most part, like when you first take the medicine, when you first have Vicodin and oxycontin for the first time, that might relieve you because your body's being introduced to that. But over time, your body gets used to it, and then you don't get any more relief from it.
Braxton, let me ask you, do you see a lot of people that suffer from this disease being addicted to these controlled substances?
Yes.
That's something, yeah, because when you constantly take some of the drugs that you've identified here, those are very addictive drugs. And so, yeah, do you know, not you personally, but have you known that people that are suffering from disease, have they moved to heroin and street drugs as for relief?
Not me personally.
No, not
I
you.
don't really,
You're beautiful.
well, not me. But like, I don't know anybody personally who's done that. But I've heard.
Yeah.
I've heard around.
Yeah.
Being in the community in those groups and stuff, I've heard that people have went to harder drugs than illegal drugs as well for the relief.
So you can you like do something like people would certain diseases, doctors have a plan, right? And they say you have to make sure you eat right, you exercise. Right. Can you bring on these pain attacks on yourself by not doing what the doctor tell you, or are they just totally uncontrollable?
It's very, very unpredictable. It really is. Sickle cell is not really it's not, you can't predict anything about it. But you can do your best by eating healthy, by taking walks and being outside, getting sunlight, getting vitamin D, and taking your vitamins. And also, I take medicine, everyday medicine, hydroxyurea for my sickle cell. Hydroxyurea.
Yeah. Hey Braxton, we're gonna have to give you the final word because we're gonna have to end our show. There is no cure for this, but are you not experiencing this anymore? Could you give us your final word on your condition?
I am not experiencing this anymore at all, thanks to my doctors. That I went through a procedure. It's an experiment procedure. They're using my results to get FDA approved, and I feel a lot more better than I ever have in my life, and I haven't had sickle cell pain crisis in years.
In years, fantastic! Isn't that nice, Meleika?
Awesome. That's awesome, yes. Braxton. And for those out there with sickle cell, is there like a group or somewhere they can contact you for support and information?
Yes, I have a foundation called Brand Len. They can contact me through there, and my email is braxstunt@gmail.com.
Fantastic. We're gonna put that on our social media, and people will be able to find you. Braxton, thank you so very much for being brave. And we are sorry about the loss of your brother, and we support you, and you're always welcome to be on our show.
Yes, thank you.
Happy holidays.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for being an angel.
Happy Easter. This has been another episode of Chicago Hill, F.D.R. Community Housing Foundation. Thank you, CAN TV. Thank you, Meleika. Let's get that ham.
Oh, yes.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Braxton. You're an angel. You're an angel. You're an angel.